Hello, everyone. Once again, I'm back with another topic, a topic which is hotly discussed, widely talked about in conferences and events, and something which also concerns to many of us. It's all about the future of work and how this work is going to evolve in future. Is it going to impact my career? Is it going to impact my role which I'm playing? And how much is the overall impact of Gen AI tools on my workforce requirements? So in this session, I'm not particularly going to talk about any Gen AI tool or artificial intelligence. I'm going to bring in a different perspective about how we can make ourselves relevant as leaders and also how we can survive in the workspace which is evolving into future. I'm going to talk this topic more from a context of the power of data and how we can leverage or unleash this power of data to bring about transformations in our job roles. So let me start by talking about a very, very famous rule. Many of us already know this rule. It is the classic Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule. And as many of us know, Pareto was an economist who found this theory that 80% of the wealth of a country is concentrated or is in the hands of 20% of the population. Now, how does this 80-20 rule apply in a future of work? So there have been a lot of surveys, there have been a lot of, I would say, discussions, as I said, there have been a lot of, I would say, research work which has been going on. And on the extreme side, this might be a little on the extreme side. It has generally been predicted that whatever role we are performing today, whether you are a project manager, whether you are a program manager, whether you are a coach, whether you are a transformation leader, 80% of the work what we do today as leaders, right? This might be done easily by an AI tool. And in fact, if you look at any of the tools which we are using from a scheduling perspective or from the point of view of a governance or a portfolio management perspective, be it Jira, be it Monday.com or Microsoft Project, these tools have already started bringing in AI capabilities. Well, this 80% number might look like a little stretched out, but definitely we have to worry about this, right? If not 80%, it could easily be 50 or 60% which could come out. So that is one side of the story of this 80-20 principle or the Pareto principle. Another interesting thing is that out of the workforce what we have, on an extreme side again, it is predicted that only 20% of us will be able to survive the onslaught of AI. That's the kind of impact which AI is going to bring out, right? And as many experts have said, right, it's not that AI is going to take our job. It's people who do not know AI. They are going to take our jobs. So now where does this lead us to? Or how we can use this information to our advantage? So let us further try to understand this and let us see that where exactly we can actually enhance our value. Now, when I joined my career around 20-25 years back, I was primarily working with data and we had tools, whether it was an Excel, whether it was a manual tool, which could convert that data into information, something very, very meaningful, something very, very helpful for our businesses to work with it. So that was the equation we were trained in, or that was, I would say, the currency unit we were working. We had a lot of data, which was, and of course, in those days, data had to be really brought out, right? It was, we were in a zone of data, I would say data scarcity, while today we are in a zone of data, I would say flooding. So we had a lot of data and our role as a leaders, whether you're a project manager, project lead, team member, was to crunch that data and present some information to leadership, which would help them take some decisions. Now, while this was good, this we could survive around this left hand side of this equation, what you see, what we see now is that just having data and information is not enough. You need to do something more with this data and something more with this information, which is where I'm now going to talk about the transformation of the information into something meaningful and something helpful for our businesses. So what we need to do is we need to convert the data into information like what we have been doing so far. But the important piece is that that information should help us take certain decisions. That information should be objective. It will help us to take certain decisions in the interest of the business. At the same time, the information can also have some qualitative elements to it, which will bring in about the emotional level of that decision which we are taking. When I say emotional level, I'm not saying that you have to be bogged down by the emotions to take that decision, but it's more about making emotionally intelligent choices through the information. So that is the decision part of the box, what I'm talking about. At the same time, whatever decision we take, we have to quickly validate it, whether that decision is really the right decision or not. Gone are the days where I could take a decision and wait for a couple of months to see the impact of the decision. What we need to do today is to see the impact of that decision, whether that decision is really helping us or not. So at periodic intervals, I as a leader will have to gather some insights about how is this decision shaping up. Is it really helping my organization realize its business value? Is it really helping my customers in delivering a better product? And at the end of the day, are my employees of the organization satisfied with the way this product has evolved? So this in a nutshell, what I call as the DD model, data, information, decision and insights. And this feedback loop has to be pretty fast. You cannot keep on running this model for months. In fact, you might have to revisit this model at as low periodicity as on a weekly basis. So that's in a nutshell what I said was a DD model. What is there? Now, when we talk about the DD model, another important thing we need to remember is that the way our roles are there in an organization. So today, if I'm playing the role of a portfolio manager or I would say a program manager, or let us say, for example, a digital transformation leader, most of my initiatives get stuck at a program portfolio or a project level. So this is where I see my influence usually is there. If I try to influence my leadership team, if I try to influence my business unit head or the CXO suit level, there is this great wall of China or a barrier which comes in between, because I'm not allowed to climb this barrier, or I'm not really able to move upwards the ladder. And when I say move upwards the ladder, I'm not talking about a promotion here. I'm talking about my sphere of influence. I'm restricted in my sphere of influence. So this clearly is a point of departure in today's world of emerging technologies. So as a transformation leader, one of the important things we need to remember is that we'll have to scale ourselves upwards. And believe me, no organization is going to give me that mandate. As a leader, I will have to take that initiative and scale myself upwards and work with the leadership team. So this is where I need to be as a part of the transformation. I should be working very closely with the C-suite leadership, with the business unit head. At the same time, I should have an eyes and ear open on my project, program, and portfolio which is happening. Does it mean that you ignore them? No. What you need to do is you need to create a structure below you. You need to delegate some of the authorities, like that 80-20 rule. Some of the fab you need to shed, and you need to align it with a person who can manage that for you. And this person should be working very closely with you, while you as a digital transformation leader focus at the strategic objectives which are there. So as the leader, I should be able to move out of that zone, right? No one is going to come and give me that promotion. As I said, you have to yourself create that space for yourself to move it upwards. Well, I'm saying it very openly here. There are some challenges around it. It's not as easy as probably I made out in the last sentence. There'll be a lot of resistance. There'll be a lot of internal politics. There'll be a lot of chaos in this journey of transformation where you yourselves are trying to scale up. I always believe that, yes, digital transformation is about scaling up. But before you scale the organization's infrastructure, before you scale up the organization's processes, we as digital transformation agents or leaders will have to scale ourselves up in this journey, because if we are not confident of our scaling, the rest of the initiatives, whether it is scaling up processes or scaling up infrastructure or tools, they are bound to fail, and your entire digital transformation is going to land up in a big mess. So this clearly is the new point of arrival where we all need to be prepared to land safely. Another interesting thing is that this obviously cannot be done on your own. As I said, you need to set up what I call it as a value maximizer office. I'm not talking about value management office. I'm talking about a value maximizer office This value maximizer office will help us segregate the BAU activities, the business as usual activities, which I already told you, you can delegate it to a project lead or a project manager who can take care of them better. We also need to help our leaders in identifying and creating that value stream. What are value stream? Value stream, I would say, are the heart of any transformation. So it is very important for a digital transformation leader to know what is an organization's value stream. Where exactly is the money coming in into the organization? Where is the money going out? And can I make this value stream more lucrative? Can I make it more efficient so that my business at the end of the day earns a value out of it? So that is where value stream construct or identifying the right value stream, prioritizing the value stream, and deriving benefits out of it. This is where we as digital transformation leaders have to work very closely with the C-suite leadership. The third one is just having value stream is not enough. You need to see whether the value stream is really performing or not. And that is where we have certain metrics related to value stream. The kind of business value you have added, right? How much has the business been impacted in a positive way? How many customers we have been able to add because of optimizing the value stream? How much of revenue I have got? How much is the impact of this efficiency gain on my balance sheet? All these elements will form the critical chain of your value stream matrix. And last but definitely not the least is matrix. Yes, matrix will give you those I would say critical measures at periodic intervals, but from a long term impact, what has been the benefit of doing this? And when we say benefit, it is a tangible benefit, something which can be quantified in numbers, something which can be crunched in data points. And the second element is also related to the intangible elements, the intangible benefits which are going to be accrued. And obviously, these are very difficult to measure. They are based on sentiment analysis, they are based on perceptions, they are based on internal feedback. So, obviously, those will take a little time to generate. But this, if you ask me, is a four-pronged strategy which a value maximizer office will be built up in order to, with a charter to bring about the transformation in our digital landscape. Okay, we all have heard this term that data is the new oil, right? And this has come out in multiple journals, this has come out in business papers. We all have seen this statement of repeated multiple times. I slightly disagree with this statement because what I believe is that data is not the oil or data is not the new oil. To put it in a better perspective, data is the new crude oil. And as we know, crude oil is not something which you can directly use. For example, I cannot buy directly crude oil from the market and put it in my vehicle and my vehicle starts running. As we all know, crude oil is having a lot of impurities and we need to filter it out. There has to be a detailed filtration process, a refinery process through which your crude oil has to be filtered out. So if I really want to leverage the power of this DD model, which is data, information, decision, and insight, I need to refine the data which is coming out. So whatever data I'm generating, that would be a very, very raw or a crude data. And I need to refine that data before I can use it. So just similar to the refinery process, oil refinery process, what I have here is a data refinery process. So what is this data refinery process? Just like crude oil, when you heat it, it separates at various temperature level, and what comes out of that are various forms of fuels, whether it is petrol, whether it is diesel, whether it is naphthalene, whether it is kerosene. Those fuels emerge out of a refinery process. So similarly, when you take this data and when you churn it through the refinement process, you will get different layers of data. And as you can see, there will be some data elements which are related to very, very fundamental matrix of a project, be it your schedule variance, cost variance, defect density, etc. Then there could be some performance matrix related to KPIs, OKRs, etc., which are there, the cost of quality. Now, if you look at the first two tier, the basic matrix and the performance matrix from the top, these are something which easily an AI tool can do it today, right? I mean, we do have capabilities in AI tool which could easily generate these metrics for you. I remember my days as a project manager when I became project manager newly. I had to spend a lot of time to generate this matrix because obviously the level and the sophistication of tools was not what we have today. But today, because of Gen AI capabilities, We can easily generate these metrics, and by the time you reach office on a Monday morning, I think the project report or the weekly status report would be generated by the AI, and probably in all probably it would have been published and sent out to the stakeholders by email. Where we need the power of human intellect to be utilized properly is things like relationship metric. How are we interacting with our customer? Is our customer really happy with the way we are delivering? Are there any pain points of the customer which we have failed to address? Is there any escalation which needed an immediate attention and we could not do it? So those come in your relationship matrix. And then the strategic matrix. Strategic matrix are predominantly related to business outcomes, the value equation, what we are going to bring in, the benefit management, then return on investment or cost per feature. Those kind of matrix is where the power of human intellect would be needed. And to my best of my best knowledge, I don't think we have AI tools which can actually generate those metrics as we speak. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but as we speak, this is where I think is a zone where we as human beings have to shift. We have to shed some of our baggage. Whether it is 80%, that's still debatable. I just use the analogy of 80-20 rule, but it could definitely be 40%, 50%, or 60%. We have to shed that baggage of basic metrics and performance metrics to be handled by an AI tool, and the higher level or the intellectual level matrix is something we can leverage the power of our human intellect. So this I call it as the data refinery process of segregating the data into various layers of matrix. Moving ahead, so what is this DD all about? As I said, DD is a model which is to scale up our intellect. It is a model to scale up what we should be doing and how we can add value to the business. So if you look at this house of transformation which I have tried to construct, at the bottom base of this is still data and information. Yes, you do need data, you do need to convert that data into information, but that's predominantly a raw data what you see at the base of the house. The middle layer is where you're converting it or you're refining this data and information into decision and outcome insights. And while you're doing it, while you're converting this data into decision and insights, it helps you to generate outcomes. So here I'm not talking about the output, but the critical outcomes of your transformation, what are visible, whether it is tangible, whether it is intangible. On top of layer, on the roof layer, we have the purpose. Why is this organization there? How is your insight aligned to the purpose of the organization? What are the business opportunities we foresee in future? What is my vision? And how do I make it a people-centric organization? Or how do I ensure that my employees get a work-life harmony? What is there? And obviously, the roof of this house is the core value system of the organization, which is depicted by their vision, mission, and the OKRs and the strategy what the organization has imbibed. So as you can see, as you move up this house, the human intellect part is going to increase, which is where I'm corroborating what I said earlier, that the bottom tier of this house is something which you can easily configure a Gen AI tool to work on it. Whereas the upper tier is something where the power of human intellect is going to play a very, very big role, because that's where the strategy has to be applied. So I think the time has come up for us that for each one of us, as I said, whether you're a project manager, portfolio manager, or a program manager, or a coach, to clearly differentiate between these two layers so that we properly utilize our human intellect. Lastly, I would like to end my the talk with a very two interesting quotes which are there. So one is a very interesting quote. There's a lot of data today. As I said, when I started my career, there was a scarcity of data. We literally had to run from pillar to post to gather data. But today we are in a zone of data sufficiency or data flooding. But the real problem is that we are not able to convert this data into an actionable insight. And this is a quote, a very famous quote by Jay Baer, where he talks about this conundrum or a problem what we all human beings are facing. And the second is a quote which I often talk about it, that we don't really manage value. As transformation leaders, our job is not to manage value. Our job is to create or generate value and maximize it. That is where our power as a transformation leader is going to yield in. strong results for our businesses and enterprise. So, on that note, I end this talk. Do share your feedback. I would be very happy to hear from you. What are your thoughts, and whether you like this video? And on that note, this is Ashutosh Bhatodekar signing off for the moment. Do connect with me on LinkedIn and on my YouTube channel. Bye for now, and looking forward to create more such content on digital transformation. Thank you.